the
Okay.
envelope, so now it's easier.
I'm discussing this and the way that I started the motion, okay. Says in the 713-2304, it says, notice of intention to levy tax. When the written estimate of the amount of money required has been delivered to the Board of County Commissioners. Well, basically, when we get done with this motion, okay, if it passes, then we would be sending a letter to the county commissioners telling them that we don't need any more money, okay, and to therefore change the levy. It was okay, the Board of County Commissioners, the board shall give notice of its intention to levy and collect tax sufficient to pay the bond obligations and other expenses, and then the notice has to be given. So this motion, I think, has to be made, and the letter is sent to the county commissioners, notice to them. And after they're notified, then we can go ahead and notify the members of the district.
We don't have to notify the county commissioners. This code is when we notified them we wanted to levy a tax back in 1999, okay? And so we've already done this section, but to amend that, we have to do this process. But the commissioners have no control over what we do.
This actually has nothing in it about the commissioners having control. It just says that you're going to notify them.
Right, and we did that to collect the tax. They had a public hearing, and the people that made the decision on the amount of the tax to be charged last year were Regina, the treasurer, and the county attorney.
We're talking about procedure here, okay?
Right.
Just bear with me and listen again. When the written estimate of the amount of money required has been delivered to the Board of County Commissioners, the board shall give its notice of its intention to levy and collect a tax sufficient for the payment of bond obligations and other expenses. This must be given by posting. I'm assuming that when it says the board, we're talking about the local board. Okay. I'll go ahead and post this hearing, unless this is talking about the Board of County Commissioners.
No, it's talking about this board. This board is not going to levy a tax, so.
No, but we're changing it, right?
Right, but we can't change it in advance of a public hearing.
But the public hearing will facilitate the change. Consider
does the public that owns this district want to continue to pay the tax or not? We as the board can't make that decision.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of saying the same thing, and if when I listen to Matt, we're not asking to levy money.
We did that. No, we've already done that, and it's on the books, but we have a levy.
Changing that levy to notify the commissioners.
It doesn't, well, it doesn't
as far as
that.
changing, to change that, then we would have to notify them first. I think having the hearing to allow everybody in the district to weigh in, the freeholder input to weigh in on the decision to change it to zero is what you're both talking about, and just how to do that. Right?
Because if they don't want it, we don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
The freeholder is the landholder. They call them freeholders.
Right. And if it means just a letter from us to the commissioners about our intentions, I don't think that's a big deal.
Well, I guess what I'm looking at, I'm looking at this piece, I may be all wrong on this, but in order to have a meeting, a hearing, okay, we have to have a plan of action and why.
Yes.
And the plan of action in this motion is that we have no facility, there's no reason to assess anything, okay, which is a change in what has gone on. And it was simply, I think, whether it's actually required by law here, but probably just even as a matter of public information, to send the county commissioners a letter stating we have no facilities. there is no reason to charge, and we're holding a public hearing,
Mhm.
you know, to reduce
Do you think
the
it will
levy to zero.
confuse them?
No, they're smart.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's it's almost just a courtesy
Yeah.
of what's coming down the pike, instead of reading about it the day after or during, but again, I've not been part of this structure, so I don't know if it confuses them or not, or if they raise some.
No, I know you can set a levy, you can make a decision to have a levy and not determine the amount of the levy until a later date, but there's usually deadlines involved.
But you had to go to the county commission so they collect it and distribute it.
Normally under a utility setting, okay. Well, we're not a utility, but that's what we're going to be as being, okay. In a sense of utility law, and that your costs have to be laid out, okay, and apportioned to everybody that's receiving the service. And normally, when we're running a sewer district right now, that's what we would be doing. We'd be looking at our annual costs of maintenance and everything else, that infrastructure, paying off the notes and all the rest of that. And you might have to change your rate, in which case you'd be holding a meeting to it.
You follow where I'm going now?
Yeah.
Even though you don't know what your course of action might be, you can still say, we're gonna have a hearing.
Exactly.
And then announce what the hearing's gonna be about, say, after the next meeting or something.
In that hearing, I think you have to have your ducks in a row so that you can discuss the issue. Okay, and that's kind of what we're trying to get together here is that, well, we're gonna have the hearing, we're gonna have it so that we reduce this levy to zero. That would be my goal. And obviously, if issues are brought up in the hearing that would make you change that, then you would. Okay.
Here's my thought. You could put this on the agenda for the November meeting, but you can also make a motion to hold a hearing in December and make the decision at the November meeting exactly what the language of the
Sure.
You follow?
Yeah.
Well,
Just a suggestion.
time-wise is the only thing. If we're gonna have the meeting in early December, we gotta get it out 10 days, and 10 days might be Thanksgiving Day.
So you could hold a special meeting sooner.
Well, no, I just meant for 10 days for the mailing out. I think the one thing we do not want to do is have the opportunity for anyone to bring up anything but the amount of the levy at that meeting. Because the second public hearing comes when the continuance of the district is discussed after the receipt of petitions. And at that time, this board, has to have a plan for the timing of the dissolution, the asset disbursement plan, and none of that can be done until this board has petitions in hand. Because the board did not form the district, and the board cannot dissolve the district. It's about that simple. So the people voted to form this district, and at a public hearing, or by signature on a petition, they will vote to eliminate the district. It's their decision, not ours.
Agreed.
But if we put notice that we intend to hold a public hearing to eliminate the tax by the district on the property holders, that's what we're going to have the public hearing for. It says you have to put down how much money you want, but we don't want any because it's not a rate hearing, it's a tax fee kind of thing. But I can see the possibility of people bringing up all of their frustrations on the continuing of the district and that kind of thing. And someone will want to know what you're going to do with the money that you've already got.
Those are all fair questions.
Yeah, they are, but I think, and I think in light of where we are today versus where we need to be then, is between now and that hearing, we will have the answers of where the money has been spent, what has been done with it and the value he received, which is zip. And why should we continue this as an owner of property?
See, now my suggestion would be to put that on the next meeting's agenda and let the public know in that way if they want to get involved on the level you're talking about.
Well,
They voice their concerns before the hearing.
they can't express their concerns to this board because this board can do nothing
The hearing
until
is where that needs to come
51% of the freeholders sign a petition saying they
Or
want
if
the
it's on the
district.
agenda, they can
No,
speak.
we can't respond, so,
If it's on the agenda?
no, we cannot.
It would just be,
It-
it would be our
It would.
opinion, which amounts to zero.
Well,
I mean,
it would have to be under public comment because this board does not have the power to dissolve the district. So it could only be under
Well, we're
public.
talking about lowering the tax rate, right?
Right,
That
but,
doesn't automatically dissolve the district. does it?
no, it doesn't, but what I'm saying is you don't want to get the questions on dissolving the district at the same public hearing when you're talking about the tax. It needs to be two public hearings.
That's kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. And if they come in under public comment and want to know about dissolving the district, this board, until we have those petitions, can't respond.
I understand that, but if it's on the agenda,
It's not exactly true, and I don't want to pick too many bones out of the fish here, but, fact is that if you have a public hearing and somebody raises a question about the district, okay, there's only one legal answer that we can give them, and that is the state requirement that a petition be signed by the freeholders.
Yeah.
That's the extent to which we can be involved in that. That is the information that we can give them, which is, by law. And it's not a decision made by the board. That's simply the law that's available to them to take recourse. Okay. So, again, I'll go back to the motion here to my intention to hold first of all, to make a motion that we reduce the levy to zero, and that we hold a public hearing regarding that motion.
question. We would request,
County Commissioner.
no, that we would, we don't, trying to think, I don't think we want to say that we as a board want to reduce it. We would like to request that the levy be reduced to zero.
Okay.
Yeah.
With input from the public.
Yes.
I mean, I guess that's.
Well,
so you're talking about a public hearing to discuss reducing the levy amount to zero.
Yes.
Only that.
Just that.
Just that.
Yep.
And then the other issue comes later,
Yes.
after that's been.
Because if that doesn't happen, then nothing.
That is a clear, I believe that's a clear.
Yeah.
Because right now, the levy's $20. It was always $29, but like I told the county attorney when she had called me, they did that in August as an election ploy to drop it $9. And it wasn't done legally. To do any change, you have to have a public hearing. But they just wrote a resolution and sent it to the county, and they did that.
But I would second that motion to make that the agenda for the public hearing.
So, yeah, the motion then is to hold a public hearing to reduce the tax levy to zero.
To recommend that we reduce it.
Well, or discuss, or are you actually going to have a vote at that meeting? How does that?
You can have a vote at the public hearing, I think, and or get the input and actually even entertain a motion to do something. Some of this I have to look into what the proper protocol is.
Because ultimately the board would have to vote on it.
But I also think that you have to have the percentage of the people's names on the petition.
Well, that, with the hearing, the public hearing to go to zero, we don't have to have any agenda. Okay. I don't believe so. So the real question question, what date do we want to hold this meeting?
Are we done with the public hearing motion or not?
Well,
yeah.
I think we need a date. Set a
Okay,
date
here's
as well.
Thanksgiving's the 24th. Today's the 18th.
What day of the week?
And then here, what day of the week, what day?
What day of the week, as opposed to date? It's my understanding that the fire hall is going to be available on Wednesday and Friday night.
Is that gonna be big enough?
And if we had a public hearing, the fire hall would be a really great place to have it. And we'd have to double check with Bob on that, but I was, yeah, because if we did that, we could have it as soon as the 2nd of December, that's a Friday. If we can't have it there, then I guess it doesn't matter what. Well, in the community, Matt, what nights aren't obligated for people, do you know? Is Wednesday church night or?
There's, I guess a lot of people, most of the things I've ever done, there seems to be a fair number of people who use Wednesday for a church night. I would say probably the biggest conflict you're looking at is December. The basketball season started then?
No, not till the middle of practice starts.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, middle of practice falls starts middle of this, next November.
Usually, yeah.
So I don't know, Jared Gaines, do you have any clue?
I don't know yet.
Well, I just mentioned that because it may be a possibility. That's about the only opportunity for the fire hall that we would have to hold a public hearing. Now, we could try the school, but I would think in December there would either be sports or music.
Well, fire hall would be better, I think.
Yeah.
In the likelihood. I mean, I know.
More parking at the school.
We got, what, they got girls basketball now?
Start in November.
Yeah.
Boys and girls start.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, my guess would be Thursday and Friday is probably gonna be busy. There's gonna be something there for a game or something like that, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Probably Monday, Tuesday is probably a better
That
shot.
would be like December 5th or 6th, a Monday, Tuesday.
And the fire hall is not available to us on those
And
nights.
what day, what was the 2nd was what day?
A Friday.
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 And the 7th would be a Wednesday. And I guess the other way to look at it is we're probably not going to get 10% of our 250 or more than that landlords. That's a guess.
That's a good guess. Less, I guess.
And if just hypothetically, if we decided on the 2nd, we'd have to mail everything out 10 days prior to that. So it's back in the 22nd of November.
Well, and it has to be at least, so
Yeah.
if it went out.
What about the 9th?
Of December? That's a Friday.
See, no, I would say we ought to shoot for the 9th.
Just because it's not the 1st and it's not post-Christmas.
Right. I mean, you're gonna get who's gonna show up. I mean, that's the night we can get to fire hall.
We'll have to check.
We'd have to check with Bob for sure, but it was my understanding that the people that had it Wednesday and Friday nights were moving out as of maybe November 1. But that's still, if it's, so.
We try for the 9th then. Sooner is good.
I have some more information here on the public hearing for the changing of the tax from the former deputy county attorney. And she says, for cumulative rate increases of less than or equal to 5% within a 12-month, 5%. That actually doesn't even apply to districts, but
And it's
if
not
you're
an
going to change or increase rates, fees, or charges for services or facilities, the board shall order a public hearing. My question to her when I visited was, we don't have any services and we do not have any facilities. So it seems to me that having a public hearing,
maybe it's moved.
well,
But you are affecting a change in the law.
well, we're affecting change in the taxes, but those taxes are not for services or facilities. Either one. They're not for services and they're not for
But
facilities.
read that again, though.
Hmm?
Read that again for me, if you could, that language. About about a raising or a,
Changing or increasing rates,
Changing or
fees, or
increasing.
charges for services or facilities. We don't have any services. We don't have any
but
facilities.
that was the intent of the levy to begin with, right?
No, it was not for services and it was not for facilities. It was to pay the operating costs of the district, period. The board, paper, typewriter ribbons, you know, mailings.
I get it.
Mhm.
Well, I think we just go ahead and hold the meeting.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And as far as it goes, we're running a $22,000 balance, give or take, and that's a heck of a bunch of typewriter ribbons and mailings
Mm-hmm.
for 250 households.
Well, after the bills were paid, it was supposed to be closed, but then initially, but that didn't happen.
So where are we? We had a motion, it's been seconded.
Yes,
Is it to hold a public hearing to reduce the tax levy to 0 on December 9th at the fire hall?
can we kind of just hold the date? Tentative date?
Tentative.
But I'll vote for that, except, so I'll have to check with Bob DeWitt at the fire hall.
So will this be old business at the next meeting? Are you having a November meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
we're having a November
It's 22nd,
22nd,
7
7
o'clock.
o'clock, fire hall. But I will call you all. Let me see Bob, and he's there, he's around every day.
Okay. Yeah,
Well, and if the people from Wednesday and Friday haven't given him official notice
No.
yet, well,
It
it was supposed to be moved as of
Judy,
this week.
let's go ahead and do this. We've got the motion, hold public hearing to reduce the levy to 0. Tentative date is December 9th at the fire hall. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is passed.
You got that, Secretary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what were you saying, Judy? I interrupted you.
Yeah, well, the people that are moving their meeting place from the fire hall were supposed to have it finalized this Friday.
Okay.
So at the end of this week, if Bob doesn't know, Bob needs to find out.
Yeah.
So,
But I'll still bug you.
Okay, yeah, we're here. Item 9, set agenda items for next meeting. The last one, is there anything else that needs to be set for the next meeting?
Well, do you still have the agenda from our last meeting?
Yeah, probably.
and that tax due bill needs to be, the resolution needs to be found in the resolution book, what it exactly says, and then discuss.
Which bill is this?
On the copies, on all the copies I made, and the postage I sent?
Well, let's see.
You got the postage on the back.
Got the postage money, but still didn't get part of that bill paid, and I can't tell you exactly what it was, because I don't have any copies.
So only,
Yeah, it's all in the records.
Okay, so, for agenda items then, we can discuss this motion
I don't know if you saw that.
Oh.
Okay, on the next agenda, okay, we're going to have to deal with the previous district records.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting the previous district's records house in order.
Yeah.
Period. The records, the financials.
And if we can get those from Ray early, so prior to the meeting, so if any time, I mean, we can do that. Otherwise, no, I don't want to go into otherwise. But we need those records for the next meeting, and I think that's very pertinent to this motion to reduce this to zero as well. By having those records, we need those. Okay. And
we should, you're going to check and we'll revisit the liability insurance.
Liability insurance, right?
And then with the new Secretary Treasurer, our new Secretary Treasurer has the key to the post office box.
Well, that should be the district record.
Yeah, it should be everything now.
And I personally don't see why that can't happen between now and then, just with Margie Ray.
Exactly.
And if not, then the sooner we know that can't happen, then we can send some letters to facilitate it,
Okay.
per se.
Yeah.
He's going to go hunt next week, so I'll have to get on it.
Well, I don't, at this point, I don't see, we'll have any particular new business at the next meeting.
Within the records, I will cover any outstanding bills or financial obligations to revisit next meeting, right?
Right, yeah.
I'm assuming, if there's anything we don't know about,
Yeah.
we can get that squared away.
Well, from that last agenda I gave you last month, it was asked to kind of follow, but it wasn't on this one, today's agenda.
Because there's a few discrepancies from the December 31st to what we were given tonight. Just
Yeah.
a dollar here and a dollar there, but it's something if we're responsible for these folks' money, we need to know what's that.
And I gave them extra copies.
The taxes can be changed not later than July 15th, preceding the next fiscal year. And when the board passes the resolution, doing whatever it is we're going to do, then the secretary certifies it, and the county clerk recorder certifies it, and the treasurer then enters it on her record. So if it is not going to affect the taxes until October a year from now.
That doesn't make any difference to me.
So,
The taxes
well,
will start at some time.
Yeah, okay, I was
Would
just
would it
saying
be
that,
October, or would it be the end of the first half of 2012?
well, if you turn it in July, it has to be turned in no later than July.
Well,
If we turn it in early, I don't know what they'll get it all done.
The typical tax year, for example, you pay taxes this November, it's actually for 2012, first half of 2012, and then when you pay them into May, it's for the second half of 2012. That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
And the only problem with that is this board will have to be in effect until there's no money.
Until there's no reason to meet anymore?
Well, except until until the money's all
Dispersed.
brought into
Dispersed,
us.
and, well, and I think
We may be able to short circuit that, so.
what's gonna happen is if there is a petition to dissolve the district, okay, then that takes it into a different direction, because that comes to the county then, and whatever they have levied, we're gonna have to have the plan that you were talking about, how it's gonna be done, and then that'll have to be carried out, either in conjunction with the board as it up to the last date or whatever, but that'll be worked out with the county and tax people and stuff like that, so that it gets to the right people.
Yeah.
That's all contingent on the petition.
So any dispersal of funds is gonna be made at the county. The decision
No.
to disperse funds ultimately, theoretically, would be made by the county.
No,
The board.
no. County has nothing to say about where our money goes.
So, with that, well, yes, they do, because they'll be writing checks.
No, they won't. We've got the money, Matt.
I know, but it has to go back to the.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't go back to anybody.
Well.
We have a plan that says this is how we're gonna disperse it. And when we're all done and everything's taken care of, this board is the only one that has any say on that money. They don't have any say. They sign the resolution for final dissolution of the district. That's all they do.
That is true. However, depending on how you go about the resolution of the money, okay, it may or may not wind up with the county to disperse that money. I don't think we'll be writing checks from here, not unless you want to get writer's cramp.
Well, that's a big discussion that has to take place before, how are we gonna give it back to people that are long gone, or people who've only been here a year as opposed to 20 years? That's a big if. It's a big if it's gonna go back to the people, but the county
Sounds like another hearing issue.
doesn't,
It will be.
you see, people give the county commissioners credit for having a lot of power over the district. They have none except in formation of the district and the closing of the district. That's it. They can't tell us what to do, they can't take our money, they can't,
And I was just uninformed from being here.
That's true. However, for example, if, for example, and the records are there for the property owners of what has been paid from the annual assessment, okay? And for those that are here, correct, for those that are here, those that aren't deceased or anything else, okay? I think it'd be relatively simple to come up with probably the easiest thing to do in handling it for a lot of people would be to establish a credit on their next tax bill for whatever had been paid in taxes prior, okay, whatever credit would be. There are probably a number of ways to work
Property tax, perhaps.
what about people that say moved 2
Good.
months ago and they've
Well-
been here the whole time paying?
Okay, those people, that percentage would be there, and I don't see any problem, and would be, I don't think, a big thing for the county to issue a refund check.
Every tax, though, everyone who ever paid tax on each piece, correct?
Well,
Would it only go back to the?
that's conceivably quite possible. Now, fortunately, we're only talking about, about 250 properties, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a lot of
so
small
it's
checks.
doable. If we had 25,000, it would, in a 15 years operating, it'd be a real pain, So,
Are you sure the county would take on, say there were 150 of those that have been here 1 year, so they get $29 back, because that was early on. If we give the county every bit of our money and tell them to give it back, are they going to take that project on and do it? They don't have to, they might do it, but it is not.
well, I'm not gonna second guess what the county will or won't do. It
Well-
will depend on the request that we make. We'll
Yeah.
But they do have the records.
They do have the record.
Oh, yeah, obviously, but you realize how much time it would take to go back 11, 12 years? And every change of property owner for $29, then
It's not 11 or 12 years. What we're looking at is from the time that it was paid off. And, I mean, when do we pay off our final obligations?
I don't know when that was.
I don't know, we weren't on the board, but they collected the $29 in addition to the payment.
You have approximately $22,000 in the bank account, okay? You have, and whatever would be collected between now and the time if it's dissolved, okay? When the final payments were made for the contracts and all,
The contractor and the well driller.
Engineer.
and all those costs. And that, as I recall, off the top of my head, that was in the neighborhood of about $50,000 or $55,000, I think, is when the board changed hands and everything like that. That was about the balance that had to be paid back, I think, and, you know, there was some grant stuff and one thing and another, okay? And it was right in that ballpark. So that had to be over, you know, a few years, you know, but,
Well, it's on the checkbook somewhere.
and that's why we need to have records.
Yeah, and they increased it to make the payoff.
One year they increased it $100, correct?
They increased it that much, but
So
one of the things-
so you're really looking at it from the time that the payoff was done, okay? And what is accrued.
Yeah.
Still, it's an accounting
nightmare.
to do it absolute. I mean, it would be, I
Even
think that's a whole nother world of
Not
research on how to, because I'm thinking that if we as a board mishandle Johnny Smith's money, that's when we better have our liability insurance in place, because that's a direct effect of what we do, and if there's a way that we can get the county to do it, or a way that we can get the money put into a fund to do paint the moon or something. I mean, to do something that would be agreeable. The easiest way to be doing that, because of the exact pennies per parcel over even 5 years would be a son of a gun to figure out.
No.
When
They make an assessment on every one of these things, and it's on your tax bill, each assessment, okay, and the way that it's figured, so that the residents in here that are paying on the water sewer district, there is an assessment there on each property, okay, by year. You can establish the cutoff date where all bills were paid, okay, and set that date. Okay, and this kind of comes to the power of the board, so to speak, in coming to this thing, come to the public hearing, and you're gonna have that, all right? At some point, you're gonna have to draw the line and say, okay, everything was paid off here. This is the amount now that is in the account from this time going forward, okay? This is what we've got. We have no obligations. Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that really has to be checked too, they continue to charge the $29 every year. And the payoff money was over and above that. Did they use that $29 for payoff, or did they keep that in their treasury? I don't know, but I think it needs to be checked. We may have to go back 11 years for the $29. If they didn't use that money to pay off the loans, then it belongs to the taxpayers if that's what we choose to do.
Anyway, that's something I don't think we need to visit tonight, because it's a pretty,
No,
it's gonna be a,
those
it's gonna
are
be
things we need the records for, so we can look at them and say, oh, they used that $29 to pay off the engineer and to pay off the low-interest loan first, last, whatever. Anyway,
so
we just have to have those kind of records, and we'll get them, right?
So your motion is
We voted and we did all that. Okay. So we're just talking about setting the agenda, and so The next agenda under old business I'm looking at here would be,
No new business then.
at this point, I don't see any, unless something would come up between now and then. And-
No old business is that.
You can always add to the agenda before the meeting.
Pass to account.
Hmm?
Pass to account, so business.
Okay, well, we need records, don't we?
Yeah, because I didn't make a copy of anything because it wasn't necessary. in the-
So we're looking at, we need the district records, past due accounts, et cetera.
Yeah.
And fall under that.
Well, and someone needs to find out on that county money. It's been requested at least 3 times, and it's never been sent to this board, this district.
To be put in our savings account.
Somebody needs to find out from the county treasurer why they have not sent us our money.
You're talking about the money.
The town warrant account.
Yeah,
That's $7,000.
Yeah.
because that's part of the
Because
record.
it was $2,500 the one and only time I requested it, and I just signed a paper when I was at the courthouse down there.
But that money never
And
came.
I never
to
showed, and then I think Lena said she requested it,
Yeah.
so I don't know if she did that one, at least once that she said, and that's twice though it never came, and it wasn't probably 7 then, but it was probably more than what,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
and they just,
Have they, to your knowledge, have they ever on an annual basis, deposited money back to the board or anything like that?
we have to request it.
You have to request,
Mhm.
okay. And during the time that you requested that amount, did you have the same kind of balance in the
There's
savings?
2,500 in the warrant account at that time. The savings account, yeah, probably about the same in the savings, because we haven't put anything in there since I requested that 2,500.
So the only thing the county has of ours is the $7,000.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
So do we need a letter from us to give to you to go?
Yeah. Well, I faxed it down, or,
I think what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to go down and talk to the county attorney and some other people down there. And see what the lay of the land is on some of this stuff.
The county told us that if we wanted information, the board needed to approve a resolution that would enable one of the board members to ask questions of the county.
You
And that's
can-
where the,
oh,
15-page letter came from the county attorney. So
Was that under George Martin?
yes,
Okay.
That's
So-
the old rules.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, well, there's some new rules going now.
and so what I'm just getting at is maybe we just should do a resolution authorizing Matt to check out the things.
Well, let me just go fishing and see what I can.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
okay. And then if he runs into a snag, it wouldn't be,
Put it on the agenda.
well, no, I don't think we need to. If he runs into a snag, just make a call and we'll do a letter like we did before, all 4 of us signed it with the resolutions.
Do you guys have a copy of this?
No.
From the county? I'll see that you get a copy of it, but this is what the county attorney said. Various county departments, including the Valley County Attorney's Office, have attempted on many different occasions to provide advice to the district as resources permit. County personnel have also fielded repeated calls and questions from private citizens. It's painfully clear that operation of this district has been fraught with controversy and infighting for the past 17 years, and the controversial nature of board relations is increasing rather than abating. This can only be addressed by the district members themselves. It cannot be resolved by Ravalli County. Board members and citizens have brought repeated complaints to the commissioners, clerk and recorder, attorney's office, chief finance officer, treasurer, and environmental health department have taken a disproportionate amount of county resources in the past year compared to that of all other independent local districts in Ravalli County. This letter contains the legal advice of the Ravalli County Attorney's Office based on the information provided to date. This advice was also discussed telephonically with 3 board members. Any further questions, disputes, or legal advice the district wishes to address would best be directed to a private attorney hired by the district who could focus solely on district issues and possibly attend board meetings to moderate public proceedings. The county will, of course, continue to fulfill its express statutory responsibilities as set forth above.
When was that written?
November 23rd, 2010.
A year ago. And I think we've resolved those issues, I think, more of us.
Well,
I mean, that's.
I don't know.
And
all of those.
As the 2 meetings, the 4 of us, I don't think there's any contention.
No.
I don't think there's any contention that we have if there were 20 people sitting in the
Yeah.
room, with the exception of somebody bringing up sour grapes has nothing to do with business.
Right. And
So I think that Matt going down
Well-
and doing some fishing would be helpful.
Yeah.
Helpful.
most of these requests she's complaining about did not come from board members. They
Right.
came from a private citizen. And she lists in here every complaint,
Yeah.
everything. That's why,
31 of them.
Yeah.
Same person.
Yeah, and that's,
and so we don't know if that's gone or not.
no, we don't, and that's why if we're keeping it simple.
See, I think, for example, it's hard to second guess everything. As a matter of fact, at this point, I think we've accomplished everything that's on the agenda, and I welcome a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Unavailable, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.